everybody, it's Mike Nelson with EfficientLending.net. As always, first and foremost, thanks so much for coming into my YouTube channel, my blog, wherever you're picking me up on the web. I always appreciate it when people spend time with me online. All right, I am kicking off today a three-part series. This will be the first installment. Hopefully 3 pretty quick posts on how to take advantage of what I think is just a wonderful and a great real estate market that is ripe with opportunity for buyers and sellers, agents, lenders, the whole market. And the way I came up with this idea is I was just kind of reflecting back over some conversations I've had with real estate agents and buyers and sellers over the past, weeks, months, and just kind of a fear or trepidation or concern in the marketplace. And I kind of scratching my head because I just see tons of opportunity. So I was thinking maybe this might be a good topic for a 3-part series on how you really can take advantage of this marketplace and maybe some tools and some perspective to approach what's going on in the industry right now. Because let's face it, there has been a ton of change. Rates have gone up, a ton of equity's gone in, economy's been growing, etc. So my 3-part series, the first installment, and this is going to be today's, is make all 4 parts of a mortgage work for you. There's basically 4 parts to mortgage. I'm going to blow this up and unpack it here in a minute, but make sure you leverage each one to your advantage. The second part is, and this one's important, mortgages are more math than emotion. Notice I'm not saying there should be no emotion around buying a house, but make sure we do the math. I'll talk about that next week in my next installment. And then the last one, and this is an important one as well, you got to understand why 2018 is not 2007, 2008 with a financial crash. These are 2 completely different markets, completely different market dynamics. I can't tell you if the market's going to crash or not, but what I can tell you, it's not because the same economic and financial conditions were in place today as were in 2007, 2008. All right, so let's just jump into the first topic, and that is make sure you can get all 4 parts of a mortgage to work to your advantage. So when you're looking at your mortgage, approach it from this perspective, and I think you'll do pretty well. 4 parts of a mortgage are term, down payment, product, and interest rate, and in that order. And that's where people have some pause when they hear me talk about this. So let me run through them. Term is obviously the down payment. Let me back up one step. Term is obviously the length of a mortgage, and then down payment is down payment. It's how much of the house are you going to buy up front versus borrow. And then product, and I'll go through conventional non-QM and government products, and then of course interest rate. And we'll unpack that one last, and I do believe that interest rate, believe it or not, is the 4th most important part of any mortgage. I think I have some math that can back that up. All right, let's talk about term first. I think term is incredibly important. Term on a mortgage is usually 10, 15, 20, 25, and what everybody just kind of defaults to, 30 years. You got to understand, a 30-year mortgage is by far, and it's not even close, it is the most expensive mortgage you can buy in your typical residential home purchase. If you do the math on it and you look at the interest and how long it takes you to get equity in your home, you'll just see that it is. The shorter the term you have means you're going to pay less interest, but you're also going to pay principal. When you pay principal, you pay yourself. You're going to pay more principal more quickly. So what does this mean? Let's talk about existing homeowners. If you're an existing homeowner, you probably have an interest rate that is absurdly low, like in 4%. I'm going to talk about the emotions of that in next installment, so tune in for that. But that means you've had a low interest rate, and you've been acquiring equity in your home, paying down principal at a pretty fast rate. So if you are an existing homeowner and you don't want to move, upgrade, get an investment home, refinance your house to a shorter term. Yes, the math will typically tell you that a shorter term loan, even at a higher interest rate, is going to be better financially for you than staying the course. Or what you can do is you can cash out, refinance the house, and you can take that big pot of equity that you have and you can invest it in a second home. You can upgrade your home, or you can put that equity toward investment property, whatever's right for your situation. If you're a first-time home buyer, look, if you can afford the cash flow of a shorter term loan, do it. Okay? If you can't, take the 30-year loan, spend some time, your wages will grow, you'll get more equity in the house, and then maybe you refi it to a shorter term later. But just ask your CPA. He or she is going to tell you that a 30-year fixed loan, the most expensive loan, is better because of tax implications than paying rent. So really important. I'm going to talk about some other aspects of this here when I get to product as being important. All right, down payment. The second tenet of getting leverage for you in your mortgage. Down payment is how much money you put down at front, i.e. how much of the house are you owning right when you close on the home. Now I want to make sure everybody understands my bias in this. Loan officers by law, we are paid as a percent commission on the loan amount. So the more you borrow, the more we get paid. The less you borrow, the less we get paid, okay? We don't get paid on interest rates. We don't get paid on points, anything of that nature. It's loan value. So I want to make sure you understand that so you understand my motivation, my bias toward this. Borrow the least amount you possibly can. That means pay yourself, don't pay me. If you really want to leverage a loan, put the maximum down payment you can. I don't care if it's 6% versus 5% or 20% versus 15%. Whatever you can put down the most, you are going to be paying yourself because you are taking the biggest equity position in the home, i.e. the most you own more of the house versus paying commissions to a loan officer. It's a really important concept, okay? I call this the race to equity. You want to get as much equity in your home as quickly as you can. Why? You own more of the house, it gives you more options and more wealth later on in your life, however long that horizon is. So always put as much down payment as you can. It's also going to lower your monthly payment, which is a kind of a hedge against a higher interest rate. All right. Let's talk about product for a second. So now we're thinking about term. We want the shortest term we can. We want the biggest down payment. Now we're really leveraging this loan to our benefit, the borrower's benefit. Let's talk about product. There are three basic products in residential home loans. Conventional loans, which are Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. I'm not going to get into what those are because it's too confusing. Just understand a Fannie Mae and a Freddie Mac loan is the least expensive loan, and it's used for the most credit-worthy borrowers. The highest FICO scores, the highest credit scores get the least expensive loan. Makes sense. Now, here's what you got to understand. There are conventional loans designed for existing homeowners, for people who own multiple homes, and for first-time home buyers. And this is really important. So if you have good, healthy, strong credit, then you can use conventional least cost loans and 3% down payment. And even in certain locations, you get an interest rate benefit for the first-time home buyer. So now what we're looking at is you have the term of the loan, you have the down payment, and now we're getting the right product that gets you the least expensive loan for your potential credit position. You also have government loans. Those are FHA loans, VA loans, USDA loans. USDA loans are targeted for rural areas in the United States, so not the metropolitan areas. VA loans, my absolute favorite loan on the market. Why? It's a great benefit for our military families, servicemen and women. Thank you for your service. It's a great benefit, it's a great loan program, and I love the fact that it is reserved for our military men and women. So, great loan. And then you have FHA. FHA is an expensive loan, and it's targeted to lower credit-worthy borrowers, okay? So if you don't qualify for conventional loan, leverage the benefits of an FHA loan for your particular situation. Then you have non-QM or non-qualified loans. I'm not going to get into these in a lot of detail. But understand, if you are self-employed, okay, if you are an investor, if you own homes and you're looking to buy investment properties, non-QM loans are a great avenue to make those types of purchases attractive. Word of warning, you will hear people call these subprime. These are not subprime loans. These are completely different than what was going on in 2007. They fulfill the ability to repay laws, so they're very, they're probably the hardest loans to qualify for in the marketplace, but they're great tools for credit-worthy borrowers. So now what we're doing is leveraging term. We're leveraging down payment, and we're leveraging product. You take those three together, and this is why interest rate is the fourth most important part of a mortgage. And this is interest rate is consistently the most misunderstood part of a mortgage. It leads to a lot of emotion. I think of a lot of unnecessary emotion. I'm going to talk about in my next installment. And most buyers invert the order I've got, and they make some type of poor financial decision where they're leaving money on the table. Why? This is hard to understand. But in most cases, 4.75% is more expensive than 5%. Why is that? Because you cannot get the lower interest rate, the 4.75%, unless you pay points. The lenders know this. The lenders know that there's a lot of emotion attached to a lower interest rate versus a higher interest rate. Here's what I will tell you. 90% of the mortgages in the United States, the vast majority, are retired, which I mean to say sold or refinanced. The property is sold, the property is refinanced in the first 7 to 8 years. I do this math all the time, and it almost always comes out that the break-even point on paying points in a lower interest rate versus no points in a higher interest rate is right about 10 years. Now, I must tell you, if you are going to keep that loan past, and it's usually 10 years, then paying points is dramatically to your benefit, okay? So you have to do the math. It's not cookie cutter. All right, so let me blow this up just a little bit farther. Okay, so let's say you do have this real world example, and I got this here on my sheet, $250,000 loan, and you can pay 1 point or $2,500 to get a 4.75% interest rate, or you can reduce the loan by $2,500 more and you can pay 5%. Which one's better? All right, so let's look at the math real quick. The first thing I want everybody to understand is my principle of a race to equity completely applies here, okay? We want to get the most equity into your pocket, pay yourself, don't pay the lender, as fast as you can. Okay, so let's assume that scenario, $250,000 loan, 1 point, $2,500, okay? By the way, the difference in monthly payment at 5% versus 4.75 is $24 a month. It's not a big amount, okay? And this is where the emotion comes in. I'm going to talk more about this next week. But most people will say, I got 5%. Oh my gosh, that interest rate's so high. But is it? It's $24 more a month. So it's not a huge burden on cash flow. But if we run this out, okay, let's look at the principal balance remaining in the loan, okay? After 7 years. After 7 years at 5%, the principal balance in the loan is $217,663, okay? At 7 years, at a 4.75% interest rate, at a $250,000 loan, the principal balance remaining is $218,729. What does this mean? If you didn't pay points and you retired the loan at 8 years, 7 years, which almost everybody does, you would have $1,000 more equity in your pocket. And you would have $1,000 more equity in your pocket because when you closed the loan, you didn't pay points, you paid yourself, not the lender. Okay? Quick wrap. This has gone fairly long, but a quick wrap up summary of what we're saying. Look, when you evaluate your mortgage, evaluate it mathematically. And if your lender doesn't do this for you, you are working with the wrong lender, okay? And you want to do it in this order. Evaluate the shortest term you can pay. Evaluate the down payment. As much as you can. Pay yourself, don't pay the lender. The product. Make sure you have the right product that fits your financial situation, your financial goals, and then interest rate. Make sure you understand what you're getting for the points that you're paying in the loan. And so if you take those 4 components and you leverage them to your strength, you will find that you can make a really good home purchasing decision. All right, next installment's going to be on emotion, and this is absolutely one of my favorite topics. I love talking about this one, and then we'll follow that up with some market information on why 2018 is vastly different than 27, and that's an important topic too. Hope this is helpful. Love to chat with you. Feel free to call me anytime. Happy to help in any way that I can. Thanks again, and have a great week.